Great. Okay. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for sharing your lunch hour with us to talk about the Collaboration Hub. Yes, Ida, you are off camera. So yeah, because it's being recorded, just be mindful to keep your camera and mic off just so the webinar runs smoothly for the presentation portion anyway. And if you don't want to be recorded, you can just keep your mic and camera off. So for those who don't know me, my name is Brad. I'm one of the current co-chairs of the Alberta Citizen Science Community of Practice Steering Committee. And I'm also the executive director here at the Alberta Lake Management Society. We have just an hour-long webinar planned for you today with two great guest speakers. But we, of course, just want to start with a land acknowledgement. So typically I'm joining from Edmonton, but today I'm joining from Calgary. And Calgary is in the traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina Nation, Stoney Nakoda, also home to the three Métis districts under the Otokamswak Métis government. So Rocky View Métis District, Calgary Nose Hill, and Calgary Elbow. This is, of course, in Treaty 7 territory. And as a steering committee, we just want to acknowledge the vital role that Indigenous people play in the stewardship of water, land, and biodiversity in Alberta. And we definitely respect and learn from these knowledge systems. And I think we strengthen our collective responsibility to steward and nurture the land by incorporating all knowledge systems into the work that we do. So if you're interested in something more focused on that idea, we do have some webinars on our website, which we'll share with you in a second here that you can check out that we've hosted more focused on Indigenous knowledge. If you've not joined one of our sessions before, the Citizen Science Community Practice is led by a steering committee, and we basically all do this off of the side of our desk. But we're all invested in citizen science and participate in citizen science. And we have a great collection of folks on the committee, which Holly will talk a bit more about how we all got together and put together the collaboration hub that we'll be talking about today. Zoe Wong with the Government of Alberta is our other current co-chair. Definitely check out our website because some of our recent work includes a 4-part webinar series and an in-person workshop around connecting people to science. We also worked with the Battle River Watershed Alliance, Catherine Pierce, one of our speakers today, to put together a proceedings document from all of that work, which highlights all of the major takeaways and ideas that were gathered through that series. We most recently put together a strategic plan, which I think helps to lay out a path forward for a strong community of citizen science in Alberta. We've also developed a vision statement for what we imagine a strong network of citizen science looks like in Alberta. And of course, one of our biggest undertakings has been the Citizen Science Collaboration Hub. And that really is the focus of today's webinar. We have two speakers. We have Holly Kinnes, a conservation analyst at Mistaki Institute and professional biologist with the Alberta Society of Professional Biologists. She holds a BSc from Mount Royal University and has been with Mistaki since 2016, contributing to various research projects. Over the past year, she has worked with CitSci Alberta Steering Committee to develop and promote the Citizen Science Alberta Hub. Big shout out to Holly for all the work she did in the background and for corralling the entire steering committee with all of our ideas into a really solid product. And then our other speaker is Catherine Pierce, the Executive Director for the Battle River Watershed Alliance, a watershed planning and advisory council supporting Water for Life, Alberta's strategy for sustainability. Catherine has also served as the Executive Director for the Pigeon Lake Watershed Association and serves as a volunteer on the Citizen Science Community of Practice Steering Committee. She has implemented a number of community science programs to facilitate environmental engagement and stewardship across central Alberta. Really excited to have these two speakers here today, but we of course also want to understand who you are joining us, and that helps us to cater or create content in the future that is really customized to who's coming to our webinar. So I'm going to launch a poll to get to know you guys as well. And the poll has a couple questions around what your areas of interest are, what sector you represent, and what your relationship is to citizen science. So you should see that pop up on your screen, and I'll give you all a minute to answer those questions. Okay, that should be live now. We've got some results coming in already. Great. I'll be able to share the results with everyone once the once everyone's answered here. I assume, Catherine and Holly, you cannot see the live results like I can, correct? Okay. Okay, I'll just give it another minute here. Some interesting results. Great, almost everyone's participated. That's fantastic. So I'll just end the poll now and share the results here, and we'll just walk through them. So in terms of area of practice that best matches your interest, it actually looks like biodiversity was the majority with 35%, which is a bit unusual. Usually we have water as our highest category. We do have one air, a couple other. If you want to say in the chat, if you're comfortable saying in the chat what other means to you, you can definitely do that. I'm noticing the bird folks. Where are our bird folks? They're probably looking for birds right now. A couple botany. Great. So biodiversity and water, though, are the top two answers here. In terms of which description best matches the sector you represent, a lot of nonprofit, which is really typical, a number of folks from government, a number of folks from the community, some academia. We've got people in the chat saying, hey, I'm also a bird counter. So maybe I should have made it possible to pick multiple options there. That maybe would have been better. And also, in terms of your relationship to citizen science, it looks like the majority of folks actually are interested in or participate in citizen science programs as opposed to leading or developing citizen science programs, which is good to know because I'll let you know at the end of today's webinar what our plan is for a future webinar, which would be really interesting for folks who are looking to participate in citizen science programs. And we've got some folks in the chat saying, I'm interested in forestry, invasive species, invasive tree pests, all of the above, environmental education, a bird counter. That's awesome. So yeah, lots of different folks present today, which is what we want to see. So I'll stop sharing those results. And with that, now that we know you guys a little bit better, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll invite Holly to walk us through her presentation.
Great, thanks, Bradley. All right, let me just pull up my screen here and bear with me as I navigate around because we're actually going to do a live demo of the hub, but I have some slides for you first here. So if you want to scan the QR code, or Bradley and Catherine are going to put the link to the hub in the chat, feel free to follow along if you like, as I kind of drive through the hub and introduce you to some areas that are maybe areas that you haven't explored before. So as Bradley mentioned, it's really nice to meet you all. My name is Holly Kinnis. I'm a conservation analyst at the Mistaki Institute. I'm also a proud Métis woman. And I'm here today representing the Mistaki Institute, but also the work and our involvement. The Mistaki Institute sits on the steering committee of CitSci Alberta. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here today to give you a little more information about the hub. So the Citizen Science Hub emerged after nearly a decade of collaborative work to strengthen citizen science in Alberta, which really began in 2015 with an initiative from Alberta Environment and Protected Areas and the Mistaki Institute, where we wanted to assess what the field of citizen science looked like in Alberta and kind of identify some opportunities to advance citizen science, particularly in Alberta. Obviously, you don't have time to read all this right now as I like flip it up on the slide. But from that 2015 work, it led to the development of these 6 principles of good practice. So these were launched in 2020. They were co-developed. I'll show you on the hub where you can access these, but they're really to help guide the development of citizen science programs so that they lead to impactful and useful results. So in 2024, the Mistaki Institute, working in very close collaboration with the CitSci Alberta Steering Committee, and of course, Brad mentioned, like these are our current steering committee members. We're always looking for more though, so feel free to email us if you're interested in getting involved. But yeah, so in 2024, we worked together with the steering committee to build and launch the hub. And the hub is a platform that is used to connect, collaborate, and celebrate citizen science, particularly for Alberta. And just want to say a big shout out to our current and past steering committee members who spent countless hours. As Bradley said, a lot of the time these organizations are doing it kind of off the side of their desks as well. So volunteering a lot of their in-kind hours from their organizations to bring you webinars like this, to bring you such a great resource like the hub, to constantly curate and go through and improve that resource. So a big shout out to the steering committee members, and thank you so much for their feedback and all the work that they put into developing the hub. So I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint presentation now, and we're going to go live to the hub site. So feel free to follow along in the link. You should be seeing the homepage now of the hub. So I want to kind of walk us through, like I said, some of those kind of lesser known portions of some of the hub, and the hub might be pretty new to some of you as well. So we're going to start with the homepage. So when you come to the CitSci Alberta Hub, this is where you land. You'll see our beautiful image that Bradley had up at the start of the presentation as well, kind of an introduction to what the hub is, and then you'll come down to these 4 different blocks of content. So you have events, celebrate, project catalog, and the directory. So a lot of these will actually have different images and different projects and events highlighted every single time you come back to the homepage. So they're kind of like rotating carousel of the common events and things that are upcoming. So I want to talk first of all about the directory. So you can get to it either through here by clicking on the directory. You can probably see my mouse moving. I want to show you other places that you can get to it as well. So the header bar is really important as a navigational tool. I'm just going to move my Zoom screen down so I can see everything. So as a navigational tool, the homepage is really the connect page as well. And you can get to the directory that way as well. So I'm going to go to the directory right now. Show you what that looks like. It might take a second to load when I have Zoom and websites going at the same time. So while that's loading, the directory serves as a tool to connect with practitioners, volunteers, and others in the citizen science community. So you can search the directory by name, topic area, or skill set. So currently in the directory, so this is what the page looks like when you land on it. This is a photo from one of our very first workshops that the CitSci Alberta hosted. So yeah, when you come to the directory, you'll see the search navigation and you'll see everybody listed in the directory. So currently we have 61 different members in the directory. We encourage all of you to join the directory. So if you're someone who is interested in citizen science, you're a practitioner, you're a volunteer, you want to learn more, we encourage you to join the directory. Joining the directory also allows you to add events and also add projects to the hub. So we'll talk about those in a little bit. But I do want to show you how you can actually navigate and search through the directory. So I have a couple examples here. So let's say I want to search by topic area. And I'm so happy to see we have some air people today. Thanks for joining us. And so you'll see there's all these preset different topic areas. See fungi's in there too. I know Bradley said that he wanted to pull out fungi, so fungi's there. So let's say I want to start a citizen science project about reptiles. So I click on amphibians and reptiles, I hit search, and it actually brings up the contact information of folks who have self-declared that they have an area of expertise, including amphibians and reptiles. So when you look at people's information here, I'll just show you mine for example. So it shows my name, my organization, my email address. So we formatted it this way to decrease the chances that you'll get spammed if you join the directory. We all know, that's a little safer way to do that. So we have the different areas of expertise and then also the skill sets. So I want to show you, like, let's say you wanted to search for a particular skill set. So I'm going to click the little red X here, get rid of that. And I'm going to say, like, let's see if somebody can help me with GIS. So let's see who we have for skill sets for GIS. So these, again, are self-declared. When you sign up for the directory, it'll give you a list of your different topic areas and the different skill sets, and you just check off which ones you have expertise in. So you can see there's quite a bit of expertise as well with GIS support. So I'm sure, in building this community of practice, we really wanted our members to be able to contact and communicate with other members as well. So Ken is also from our organization. And so, if you feel like reaching out and saying, hey, I have a question about this with my citizen science project, it's a GIS related question. Could you answer some questions? At least now you have a name and somewhere to start, or maybe you explore their organization's website, that sort of thing. So I am curious, and I don't know if I can see the participant list in this view, but I'm curious, maybe by show of hands, because it looks like we don't have a reaction button on our webinar today. So if you just want to raise your hand, how many of you are already in the directory? And maybe because I can't see that, oh, I see a hand from Bradley. Thank you, Bradley. I'm glad you're in there. Steering committee members, hope you're all in there.
We've got a few hands raised. We've got 4 people raised their hands so far.
Okay, so lots of opportunity for y'all to join the directory then, by the sounds of it. So I can just show you where to do that as well. So there's a few different ways. Again, we tried to make it pretty user friendly so that you can easily navigate to these different pages depending on where you are. So you can either click on the link, like add yourself to the directory here. Or if you want to, let's say you're just scrolling the header bar and you're like, oh, how do I contribute? You start with joining the directory. So we'll navigate to it that way. And you'll see basically what joining the directory means, what it allows you to do. Like I said, it allows you to upload events, upload projects. And so then you'd go join the directory. And what it looks like when you join the directory is basically it'll ask you for your name, your email address, and then a password. And then it'll just have that little checklist of all the different topic areas and skill sets for you to self-declare. And then you're joined in the directory. And from there, you can add events and add projects as well. So I want to just jump over to, I'm just going to hop off camera here for a second, but I'm going to jump over to the resources page. So this might take us a second here to load because there's so many great resources. So this is what it looks like on our resources page. And you can see in the header bar here that they're all highlighted in green because they're really all on the same page. It just takes you to a different section of the page. So again, just kind of helping with the functionality of users and trying to help them find different things in different ways depending on where you're coming from on the page here. So I'm going to just quickly skim. A lot of us are quite familiar with citizen science, so I'll let you explore on your own if you want to read what citizen science is. As I mentioned as well, we have our citizen science principles. of good practice. So I'm going to just open up. So when you click on that, it opens up the citizen science principles of good practice. I'm going to quickly just kind of skim through that because we don't have time to read over them in detail today. But in 2020, Alberta Environment and Parks and the Mistaki Institute, with guidance and input from the citizen science practitioners and researchers, co-developed these citizen science principles of good practice. These are intended to serve as a guide for the design, implementation, and evaluation of citizen science initiatives in Alberta. So you can see the 6 are outlined here, and then we provide some examples in here as well. ALMS has a project there on page 4. So yeah, I'll let you explore that on your own now that you know where it is. So I'm going to go back to the resources tab. So next on the resources page, we have how to build a citizen science program. So here we share a curated list, and I think this is like one of the hidden gems of the hub and something that I really want to focus on. So we have a curated list of resources to support all the different components of citizen science programming. The wheel provides a description of the programming components and links to information such as to what is an important consideration for that component, what are some of the key questions that you have to ask, and then links to relevant resources. So I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So we have our little wheel here. We're on step number 1, which is learning about citizen science. I'm going to jump us to step number 3. So you can actually hit view resources. So step number 3 is participate. It's going to take a second to load here. You can see this lovely navigational wheel, so you can get to it from other places if you want to look at other components. So this one in particular, participate, is learning about volunteer management. And this includes like recruitment, retention, how do you organize events, what are some of the legal documentation you might need, how do you keep engaging your volunteer base. And so if we scroll down here, I'm just going to quickly scroll through, you can see we have a whole list of resources. So I'm going to kind of break this down for us. So all these resources are kind of laid out as the title of the resource and then the organization, the authors who put together that resource. We then split it into different categories. So if you're looking for like information on partnerships or you want information on education and outreach, maybe you're looking for some legal resources, you know, from a liability perspective, what are some of the considerations you need? Recruitment. And you'll also see these little icons on the left-hand side here. So those icons will show you kind of, they help you see what type of resource it is. So these are websites. The little hat is an academic peer-reviewed publication. Most of the resources are websites. There's a few reports. There's some videos highlighted as well. So I encourage you to explore these. So this is just kind of like an example of what some of the resources look like. I'm just going to open up one here just so you can take a look and see what it is. So this is one of the resources that we talked about for partnerships. This comes from the Indigenous Climate Monitoring Toolkit. So it does take you to external resources. Like I said, this is a curated list that the steering committee put together of resources that they've either used themselves for their programs or find it quite a reliable resource. So you can see this is a great resource here. It has lots of different components, you know, bringing in youth, champions, how do you get successful partnerships? So I'll let you explore that one. And then next, I'm going to go and highlight collect. Just doing a time check here. We still got a little bit of time. So here we go, collect page. So I just want to bring to attention too that sometimes when we see citizen science projects develop, there's a lot of emphasis on the collect because the data is really the seed that helps the program happen. But there's a lot of different components, like as shown by the wheel here. You need each of these 7 components to really put together a sound and useful and impactful citizen science project. So when we talk about collect, there's a lot of resources and interest in collect. So we're talking from how do we store the data? How do we do quality control checks on the data? Is it reliable? What do we need to do for reporting purposes? So we've curated all these resources here. I won't highlight too many of them here. I'll let you explore them on your own. But I will highlight one. So we do have some apps. So for a lot of citizen science projects, they can actually build off existing apps already. So I've seen even in our hub, there's some bio blitzes that ask folks to use iNaturalist to submit their observations. So it saves them the time and energy that they don't have to develop an app on their own or have some sort of like hard copy data that now someone's entering. They can go to iNaturalist, have their participants upload data from a BioBlitz for a specific area, and then they can pull that data out from iNaturalist. So I encourage you to check those out. We have different types of management of data highlighted in here. Let's see, online host platform. So I did want to pull this one up for our attention. So this is a resource from the Association of Advancing Participatory Sciences. So this is a great resource because it shows you the comparison of all the different platforms for citizen science. So and it shows you which ones, can you collect data? Is there a mobile app? Can you communicate with your volunteers? Can you manage your volunteers through it? So I wanted to bring that one up as a really cool resource that I think could be helpful to a lot of you. So let's go back here and you can see there's also some templates here. So for quality assurance and documentation, you can build off some of these templates that are in here. Let's just see where I'm at. So I think I just wanted to look at one other example here, and that is the evaluate. Yes. So I think a lot of the time, like I said, there's parts of this wheel that seem to get a lot of focus, but they really all do deserve time and attention to have a really robust citizen science program. So the evaluate page, it's taken its sweet time to come up. But this page is where you can really learn about, how do you evaluate and appraise your project in terms of its scientific outreach and scientific goals. Let's see if this will come up for me. Isn't it always great when you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do a live run through.
Holly, I'm wondering if something wider is going on because mine is not loading anymore either.
Oh, well, that's handy. I swear it's a very reliable website, people. I'm in it all the time. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I do have some backup slides to kind of show you what some of this stuff looks like too. So you know what? Let's just jump to I'll keep trying. Oh, it's back. It seems to be back. So yes. Okay. I'm going to share again. Here we go. This is what happens when you go live with some of these things. Okay, here we go. We should be good. So just by a show of hands, again, I'm curious, have any of you explored the Hub's resources? It's okay if you haven't. I know now you are all excited and going to run there. That's probably why it went down, because so many of you were excited to go check it out.
We've got about 4 people who said yes, 5 people.
Cool, great. If you have some time to explore it, and if you're like, you know what's missing, we would love for you to send that to us, and I can add it up there to our curated list of resources. So feel free to email us. Bradley or Catherine, maybe you can put our email in the chat and email us that resource or the link, whatever you like to kind of show that to us. So let's talk about the last page that I'm going to look at here before I pass it over to Catherine. Let's talk about celebrating citizen science in Alberta. So when we talk about connecting, we should celebrate the success because sometimes conservation, it can be a challenging sector to work in. And I think the more that we celebrate each other's successes, the better off we will be as a community. So when we arrive on the success page, you come down, and this is very exciting. So citizen science in Alberta is really thriving. Here are some real-time calculations of the number of projects, volunteers, and yearly volunteer hours that Alberta's citizen science community has put together. So this information is based on what we have for projects in the project catalog. And I know that that's not a comprehensive list. There's, I'm sure, a few projects still floating around out there. But if you want to add them in, that would just be a great resource because it really helps us highlight like 48 projects in just Alberta is really impressive. And if you scroll a little further down as well, we have a section for success stories. So I encourage you all to send me a little clip it on success stories. So like this is all you need to send me. So just a nice little summary, a title, a photo, and then you can link to any results. So if you have a project that has had a great success, you had a lot of volunteers come to an event and you want to talk about what you saw in that bio blitz. You have some great water monitoring results. You're starting to see impact from your projects. We want to hear about it and we want to highlight that. So here's a few that we have in here from various projects over the last year. So with that, I am going to now pass it over to Catherine to talk about some of the events that we have.
Thank you, Holly. That's great. I'm glad we could show some of those key things, or they can get buried in the layers of the hub, and it's really nice to have the walkthrough. I have the opportunity of showing you the events section of the site. So I'm going to share my screen now. I wanted to just highlight the events section because this is an opportunity as a community of practice for us to be able to promote our own events, but also help advance citizen science across Alberta. So the events section is featured on the homepage, as I think you will see here. So if someone is not seeing it, please let me know. But so you can navigate through the homepage using the events piece, but it also lives here under the Connect section of the website. So I have some of this preloaded, so I'm going to just click here. And under Connect here, you land on this page. And the information is really quite simple about how to add your own events. As a practitioner or volunteer, you can also scan the page itself and learn about upcoming events and the past events. And I'll go through a little bit of the value of having those highlighted here on this page. The instructions for adding an event and engaging with the hub itself are outlined here in this paragraph, and they're super easy. The key is, however, you do have to be registered within the directory to be able to access that. So first step, join the CitSci Alberta directory, and then you can fill in the form to add your event, or you can even add a past event. And that's the other piece of functionality you have. So even if it was an event you've done in the past and you really want to highlight those key results that came up in your event, you can include it in as a past event with a previous date. So you're not limited to just new events. To put the event in, as I mentioned, you have to register on the hub. I have registered, so my name pops up here on the right-hand side in the upper banner of the website. And I have all these options as Holly sort of went through. And in my dashboard, if this works for us today, you'll be able to see the different functionality you have. I can update my profile, but I'm going to go over here to events or to post-event resources. You can see my most recent event shows up here. This is really forgiving technology in that the form allows me to edit the event should I want to update information, add further details. There's a change. You can go anytime and edit the event. I'm just going to edit this event so you'll see the simplicity of the form itself. This one is live online. I added an image. This shows up, and the most recent events do show on the main page. So I really encourage you to add an image. And then you just have to put your title and who your organizer is. There's these details. You can put information here. As a best practice, really, I encourage you to put in a URL so you can get to more information or get to how volunteers can contact you. There's some good base layer metadata that you can add for your event, and then you just hit submit. And if you've made a mistake, it does go live, just to warn you, but you can always go in and edit it. So just as a practice, you would want to just confirm that everything looks okay by going back into the main section on the events page and taking a look at it. Today, I hadn't put on, I noticed that there wasn't a date or a time for this event, and it didn't matter so much here, but it really showed up on the home page, and it just says time and it says select a time. So oops, the general public sees that I haven't selected a time. So those kind of details are important, and you want to navigate back and forth to look at that. Just looking at some of the best practices for the site, you can get really good ideas by going through others. I wanted to show you a couple of the past events and why showing past events are so valuable. There's such a great range of events that you can participate in or that are promoted here. I encourage you to take a look through. I wanted to show you one from the City of Calgary. They did a nature challenge here. And in the nature challenge event, they give you the details, but there's also a link here where you can see their specific information. It gets you to the page. And what's great about that is you can see the results of this challenge. So you can dig deeper and you can find out just how many observations. There were 303 checklists. So the success and the opportunity for more data gathering is all there at your fingertips, which I really like. I think that's a wonderful aspect of the site. Another thing, just making sure that you're adding that extra detail when you go back into an event. Here's a couple of the workshops that we hosted that Bradley had mentioned. If we look at our, say, example, the place-based partnerships, we could have left it as it was, but we went back in and said, by the way, if you're interested in learning about this session, we have recording on YouTube that's available. So you can go here and folks can watch the recording and get it again. So these are the kinds of tools that are handy with this functionality. Just I think a plug for using this site is that, there's so many more volunteers out there that may not be directly connected to our organizations, but really interested in participating in community science monitoring. So this is one more avenue that's pretty quick to get involved and get other folks aware of what you're doing in your organization. And just as I wrap up, the best practices, I would say this is a great tool. You should make sure you register online in the directory. And then after the event, share your successes. Use that post-event functionality or edit the event once it's in the past events section and update it with a thank you to your volunteers with a link to the report, to the data, or to the recording from the event. So I wish you all well in your own events, and I hope to see them here on the Hub. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'll turn it over to Bradley.
Catherine. I will take over sharing here. Okay, great. So just one other functionality we wanted to share with you is the ability to view projects on a map. And sometimes a citizen science program might be ongoing. They might have just a constant call for participants. It's an established program. And you can check out all of those types of projects on the project catalog page, which you can connect to from the homepage or through the connect feature on the website there. So I'll give you an example of how you might use the project catalog. So I might be broadly looking for a project related to amphibians and reptiles, and I might want a project that's outdoors. I want to go count frogs and toads or something like that. And if I just click on the icon that's available on the map, you can see here that the Edmonton and Area Land Trust has an option for citizen science programming that's outdoors, that's based in Edmonton, that's related to amphibian monitoring. Similarly, some of my own organization's projects are on the project catalog. So if I'm looking for something that deals with water and I want it to be outdoors, you can see here that some projects are populated on the map, but what's also available are projects that cover the entire province. So no matter where you are, you can participate in the project. So let's see, if I scroll through that list here, the Lake Keepers project is the project that the Alberta Lake Management Society runs all year long and is often looking for volunteers all year long. So when I click on that option, it brings me to the Lake Keepers project. I can view all the details about that project, and I can also connect to that project's webpage. So when we jump to the OLM's website, we can see one of the first things on our webpage is the Winter Lake Keepers project. And when we load that up, we can see all of the information related to the project. So if you want to be trained to collect lake data in the wintertime, if you want to be equipped to collect data in the wintertime, everything you need is on this webpage, and you can connect with the Alberta Lake Management Society to get involved. This project has seen great participation over the years. People like the opportunity to do something in the winter. Citizen science, as you know, it doesn't just happen in the summer. We've got the Christmas bird count. We've got winter lake monitoring programs. There's programs to monitor ice on and off dates, all that type of great stuff. So check out the project catalog if you like that map functionality, or you're just looking for a general type of project that you would like to get involved in. Holly, did you want to wrap up that section, or do you want me to wrap up the next bit?
You can maybe wrap that one up.
Okay, so was there anything else on the hub specifically, Holly, that you wanted to share?
No, I mean, I think
Okay.
that's it. I think, you know, I think we'll probably have some time for questions after. So maybe when that time comes, we can throw it to you and I can go over any questions you might have on further details of the hub.
Yeah, so before we jump into information about next the next webinar that we're planning, which I think you guys will be interested in, why don't we, now that we've seen all the functionality of the hub, why don't we launch a poll here, just give me 1 second, to ask folks about which functionality are you most likely or most excited to engage with, and also which functionality have you perhaps already engaged with. So I'll launch that poll. And once we get these results, we'll go to some general Q&A. And maybe you haven't, and that's okay, because we're going to ask you to participate with the hub following the webinar. So it looks like answers are coming in. We've got about 7 people have answered. Results are rolling in. Awesome. So just, I will launch the results, but just as an early result, most people are excited about the upcoming events feature, which makes good sense.
Yeah, I
And a
just
lot of
wanted to
people,
add about the upcoming events too, is that the steering committee is quite active on social media as well. So for all upcoming events or new projects that are added, we do try to highlight those on our social media to give like another boost to participation and visibility of those events. And we have both Facebook and Instagram.
perfect. Okay, so I'll end the poll and share the results here. So the most likely functionality people say they would engage with is the upcoming events, which is amazing. That makes sense because a lot of people identified themselves as people who are interested or participate in citizen science programs. So that would be a perfect way, obviously, to find an upcoming event. Which functionality have you engaged with? A number of you have said you are already in the directory. That's great. A few of you have posted a project. At the end of the webinar, we'll invite you guys after this to, if you haven't already, to jump in and post an event or sign up for the directory or post your project or share a resource that you think is really helpful. So hopefully the next time we meet up on the webinar, we'll have a bigger response to some of these questions. In general, are there any questions for Holly or Catherine or myself regarding the content of the hub? I can't see the chat. Let me see.
Yeah, you can either put them in the chat. That's the best way to get them to us.
I see we've got some feedback from Fiona. That's great. Thanks, Fiona. You can raise your hand if you have a question. You can also put it in the Q&A if you have a question. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. That's totally fine. It's not a complicated website, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's not that many questions. But I will just jump in and talk about our next webinar. So what we're thinking for our next webinar is a speed dating, virtual speed dating with a citizen science program. So this is an opportunity if you run a citizen science program to generate interest in that program and find perfect match in a volunteer, or if you're a volunteer to find your perfect match with a program. So we're looking for people to identify themselves if they'd like to advertise their citizen science program through this type of virtual speed dating. It'll probably be, 5-minute lightning talks advertising your program. So if you want, you can put your information in the chat and say, hey, this is a program that I think would be great to feature in a virtual speed dating. Or you can send your ideas to our email, which is on the screen there, info@citscialberta.com. I'll put that in the chat as well. Does anyone want to populate a potential project in the chat here? I know a couple of folks were talking about a project early on in the webinar. It looks like community field and forest.ca was a possible project. We're thinking for the spring, Jody. Jody's wondering what date. April is Citizen Science Month, so probably it would make sense then. And also ahead of the summer season when a lot of these projects actually get underway, that would be a good time for it as well. So for now, though, we're just looking for interested participants in that webinar. Okay, Martin's got the ad hoc mushroom sequencing project. Martin, I'll hold you to it because I want to know what that is. Maybe it will be my perfect match. We'll see. Okay. Everyone's so quiet today. That's okay. If you do want to connect with us, like Holly was saying, We are active on social media, so you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and we've got our email up on the screen as well. So after this webinar, we're hoping that now that you're aware of all the different functionalities available through the Collaboration Hub, that you will take advantage of it. So we're asking, what can you commit to doing after this webinar? It just takes a couple minutes. Maybe it's posting a new project, just registering under the directory, adding an event, updating your results, sharing a resource. Maybe it's just watching a webinar, checking out some of the past resources that we have on the hub. If anyone wants to say in the chat what they're able to do after this webinar, that would be great. I know there's a couple of our own events at the Alberta Lake Management Society that we can constantly be updating here. So I know our own team can check out our projects and make sure they're up to date as well. And if you're a member of the steering committee, you have to be in the directory and you must have your projects up on the hub. We have to hold ourselves accountable here too. Okay, I think that was all of the info we had for you for today's session. So again, if you do want to participate in the speed dating webinar in the spring, please send us an email and we'll be sending out more info over the next couple months about that, so you'll have an opportunity to participate. Thanks to Holly and Catherine for pulling together the presentation today, and especially, again, Holly for putting so much work into making the hub attractive and usable and accessible and a great tool. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. We'll be sharing the recording, of course, on the hub following the presentation today. So, yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of your week, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys. I'll stop the recording and then I'll end the session.